So g'day everyone, welcome back to another Bush Creek fly tying tutorial. So in this video we're going to be tying up this little nymph. I call it Possum and Woodcock, mainly because that's what it basically uses. It's pretty straightforward to tie, it's not terribly difficult, and I found it to be pretty effective. So we'll get on into it and crack on. So the hook I'm using for this is a Dahuku pupa in size 14. Any sort of pupa hook is about what you want. And then in the front of it, I have a red glass seed bead, reddy sort of colour. But I mean, you can mix up all sorts of colours, and I use various different types. And then directly behind that is just a countersunk tungsten bead in black. This one's probably about 2.4, so maybe 2.8 millimetres diameter. So just a little weighted bead. So get those in first. Hook and the vise. The thread I'm using is just a Simplify Nano Silk in white, so you just want a reasonably strong, thin thread. And I'm just going to catch that in directly behind the bead and run the thread down around the shank. And I'm going to come fairly deep into the bend, so you don't want to get too shy, probably somewhere around about here. And then from there, I'm just going to run it back up. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start about 1 millimetre behind the bead. So the rib for this particular fly is hen's body glass. This one's the clear one, transparency clear one. Half round micro is important, obviously, because of the size. So you don't want a real big thick one. D rib would do the same thing if you had really fine D rib. So I'm just going to catch that in where I stop the thread, and then secure that down, making sure that the D rib sits with the flat against the hook shank and doesn't twist up on me. And I'm just going to run that back around to where I basically stopped the thread, and then come back up and then go back down, just making sure that that D rib's nice and secure, and stop it just at the back of the D, just at the front of the D rib. Alright, for the body for this, I'm using the underfur of picric dyed possum. So I'm not too excited about this this bit up here. I mean, it looks good, but I don't want the guard hairs. So I'm shooting down here for this yellower underbody sort of material, and I'm just going to pinch some of that away. And all I'm going to do here is just form a fairly tight dubbing noodle that to do the body with. The ambulance going on in the background. Right, so what? Once I've done that, I'll bring this up, and I'm just going to bring it a couple of times behind the rib, and then come back in front, and then I'm just forming a nice shaped, tapered body, taking my time, bringing it up to basically where I've stopped or started the rib. Once I get to there, I'm just going to rib the fly, and it's 3 to 4 turns, 5 turns, depending on sort of things. Usually about 4 gets you to back to the bead, and then I'm just going to come across and secure that D rib back down directly behind the bead and trim away surplus material. Just tidy that up a little bit. And I'm going to bring the thread back to where I've sort of finished the dubbing, and I'm just going to build up a little bit more of a sort of a collar directly behind where the hackle will go. Not a lot, but just a little bit more, just to give it a bit of a kick up before I do the hackle. Okay, so the hackle for this is Woodcock. Woodcock upper, secondary, or really sort of a bigger covert, but an upper colour, and I'm looking for, well, whatever float works for you, I suppose. But something else about this, so just take a feather, I'm just going to trim away this waste material at the back, come in with my hackle pliers and find the tip, and then draw those fibres back. Now you're probably going to get maybe 1 or 2 turns out of this, which is about all you want. You don't sort of be tempted to do too much hackling. 1 to 2 turns is fine. So now that I've exposed that tip, I'm just going to come away and trim that back. Give myself a little triangle to tie in with, and I'm going to catch that woodcock in directly behind the bead with 2 or 3 turns. With my hackle pliers, just going to come up and hackle this same way you would if you were doing a soft hackle. And I'm just basically going to use up all the hackle, and I don't get too excited about sort of how much of an even spread I get, as long as I get a reasonable one. Couple of turns to secure it, the stem, and then I'm just going to come away and trim away this waist piece. And then to finish the fly, I'm using the guard hairs of possum tail, or the blacker possum tail fibre. So these are the really wiry looking ones. Now I don't need a lot because I'm not trying to sort of put a big collar on the fly. I just really need enough to tidy up where I've tied in that partridge. The woodcock, I should say. And so, you know, not a huge amount, and I don't really want it big and bushy. I just want a nice tight sort of collar directly behind the bead, just to tidy up. A little bit there. And 2 or 3 turns of whip finish. And another couple just to be sure. And secure that thread from the waist. And that's it. Possum and woodcock. It's found it to be really effective. I'd be not tempted to go too heavy on the bead. Just get a nice light bead. Use it in the skinnier water or even on the dropper. And it has been fairly productive for me. Try them in a bunch of different sort of shades of colours and material. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Tight lines.